Thank you, Madam President. I rise today to talk on a subject that is of great importance to me and of great importance to employers, workers, consumers, and really everyone across this country. And that is the need for substantive reform of our country's federal environmental review and permitting process. Now, this is a subject I've talked about a lot. I've championed efforts to make sure that our environment and economy benefit from a functional federal environmental review and permitting process. And I am now and once again leading environmental review and permitting reform efforts through the Environment and Public Works Committee, and I'm working with my fellow Republican senator, who's the ranking member over on Energy and Natural Resources, Senator Barrasso from Wyoming, and we're working across the aisle with our counterparts. Permitting reform is much more than just text in a legislative text. It's more than just updates to laws that have been on the books for years, or about replacing counterproductive measures implemented by the Biden administration. It is an essential element in giving our nation what we need to be successful in the future. Without permitting reform, American energy will be continued to be stalled, jeopardizing our security here at home, as well as our allies abroad. Without permitting reform, communities across America will struggle as they are denied access to the good-paying jobs that they need and are capable of doing. Without permitting reform, America will not build at all. The same country that mined the coal, that made the steel, and that built the democracy and led the way for industry across the world will be held back by endless review processes, continuous and continuing court challenges, and crippling regulations that limit our ability to be the world leader that we know we are. In my state of West Virginia, which is synonymous with energy generation, we have long seen the negative effects created by a permitting process that is designed to stall rather than to produce or create. There are multiple real-world examples of how our broken environmental review and permitting process is holding up my state of West Virginia's ability to move forward and is impacting multiple sectors important not only to the people of my state, but also to our national economy. In the transportation sector in West Virginia, there's Corridor H. Corridor H is a critically important highway that West Virginia needs to help commerce flow and to jumpstart the economy in the central part of our state and to encourage our growing tourism industry. In the manufacturing sector, there is Nucor Steel, an innovative, cutting-edge steel and steel products company that can't, as yet, build their plant as quickly as the Biden administration keeps creating new emissions guidelines. And then in the energy sector, there's the Mountain Valley Pipeline, a 304-mile-long natural gas pipeline that is on the brink of completion, over 90% completed, yet it is unable to deliver its needed contribution to American energy independence due to the regulatory burdens and endless legal challenges that have gone on longer than the actual construction of the pipeline itself. These are just 3 examples in the state of West Virginia. Think about the national impact created by outdated permitting processes, the damage inflicted on our communities and our economy, and the opportunities we're losing because of an administration that champions red tape, feeds frivolous lawsuits, and whose agencies celebrate delays that lead to the total abandonment of critical projects. It just doesn't make sense, quite simply. Even the renewable energy projects and manufacturing efforts central to the Biden administration's agencies are being held up in permitting purgatory. President Biden has long pledged that he will build our country back better. Well, newsflash, Mr. President, you can't build back better if you can't build at all. The fallout created by a broken environmental review and permitting process further strains our sputtering economy, drives up energy prices for consumers, negates good-paying jobs for hardworking Americans, and really jeopardizes our ability to build into the future. Now, as my constituents in West Virginia would say, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, From conversations we've already started in the EPW committee, I will soon be introducing legislation in tandem with my colleague, Senator Barrasso, that delivers on the environmental review and permitting process reform that our country needs. This legislation will benefit all projects: renewable, conventional, surface transportation, manufacturing, all of the above. This legislation will mandate enforceable timelines with clear time limits and predictable schedules for environmental review and consequences when agencies fail to reach these decisions in a timely fashion. This legislation will fashion guidelines that process and decide legal challenges to projects expeditiously instead of creating a sea of endless litigation. The legislation will actually amend the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and NEPA, and fix the obstacles holding our country back from the prosperity we deserve while maintaining, of course, environmental protections. I will emphasize, as I have many times in the past, that any tangible, lasting environmental review and permitting solutions must be accomplished through regular order. Backroom deals will not cut it. In fact, they will only lead to confusion among the American public and buyer's remorse among the participants. We have forged the blueprint for bipartisan compromise through the EPW committee time and time again, and this process should be no different. I encourage my colleagues in both chambers, on both sides of the aisle, as well as President Biden, to heed the calls from communities across the country on the urgent need for environmental review and permitting reform, and join in our efforts to deliver the modifications that America's employers, workers, and consumers need. I look forward to the continued debate on environmental review and permitting reform, and while always maintaining our shared goal of moving America forward. And with that, I yield the floor and see my colleague, who's been very instrumental in all of this, and as we work together with our colleagues, Senator Barrasso.